Good evening, everyone. We are going to be doing some stuff with the A1 Mini tonight, as we are going to start a little kind of mini series for new 3D printers. And I don't mean new printers, but new hobbyists to the hobby. So stay tuned for that. We got some cool upgrades coming to the studio. We've got for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be working with the A1 Mini because we've got some special surprises coming from uh, Big Tree Tech and BQ. We also got the plate cycler coming for this machine from T2 Systems. So you're going to start seeing some of that content coming in shortly. So we're going to give a few moments here for people to get joined to the live stream. And tonight's pretzels are the sour cream and onion ones again. Hopefully my audio is a little bit better this week. I'm still getting over that cold. I still got the cough, unfortunately, guys. I apologize for that. But hope everyone is doing well. Crack open this bag of pretzels. All right, pretty loud in the microphone. My apologies. So if you're just joining us from out there in the 3D printing community, one of the I wouldn't say easiest, but most common printers, and maybe the easiest, is the Bambu A1 Mini. This is our A1 Mini. We've done some things to it. It's not exactly going to look like a fresh out of the box one. We got some upgrades that we've done. Uh, his home is usually over there, but it may be moving over there once that plate cycler from T2 Systems gets put on it. That fully automates this machine to where you can print with multiple build plates in a single session. So that's a pretty cool thing we're going to check out later tonight for our beginners. For those of you that want to help out with those beginners, drop it in the chat. If you see something that I'm doing, it could be done better, or maybe something I'm missing. But tonight we're going to be working on this machine and showing people how to use it. And in order to use the Bambu A1 Mini, you're going to want to download the Bambu Studio for your desktop, whether you're on Windows or Apple. I believe it's on both of those machines. You can print from the Bambu Handy app, but that one is a little um, Bambu Handy app is a little uh, more difficult to print with, as you can't really adjust filament settings as much as I would prefer. So tonight we are celebrating a reach out from BQ. They have noticed our live stream, and they're going to send us some stuff, not only for their A1 Mini, but for some of our other machines. They just released, or they're just releasing their new build plate colors, which I'm super excited for. They're sending us the purple ones first, and I'll probably pick up the green ones at some point because those match our studio colors and our vibe for the Bambu Sanctum here. And I'll probably move the blue ones over to the Centauri Carbons because they're about the same size and we can use them on those machines. Colin, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for dropping in the chat. We're doing some A1 Mini stuff tonight. We're gonna help out one of the viewer requests that we had sent into us. And if you have, if anyone has a request, you're more than welcome to send it to us on Facebook, or you can send it to us at thegloriousgeeks01 at gmail.com. I'll drop that in the chat. Also, if you haven't checked it out yet, we just dropped our Snapmaker Spa Day video. We were super excited to get our hands on that, get into the app, and see what their maintenance, Snapmaker's maintenance recommendations were. And we did all their Snapmaker recommendations. We changed the order up a little bit because for us here in the studio, it makes a little bit more sense to do the workflow in that order. And also, if you do maintenance on your machine, your upkeep maintenance, not necessarily like deep maintenance, remove that build plate. Your machine will remind you, and it did for us, excuse me, which was nice. So just remember that Snapmaker recommends you remove your build plate. Just if my suspicion is correct, because to keep the grease off the build plate and help prevent adhesion mishaps. So tonight, one of our viewers, Riley, sent in a not necessarily a help request, but um, an ask for assistance is what I would say it as. They're trying to print off a Flexi Dragon, and it's having uh, uh, issues on the edges. The edges aren't as clean as they would like. Colin, I tried to sell 3D printed magnetic pencil holder at school. Uh, yeah, selling 3D prints is not as easy as it looks. Um, I imagine those are probably super popular with lockers, but the 3D Flexi Dragon that they're trying to print off, with the picture that I received, it's got a brim on it, and brims are great, except for when it comes to, they're great for bed adhesion. I will say that. Um, they're great for bed adhesion, but they're not great for when it comes to getting that clean print off the. If your brim settings are okay and you have the right filament, it'll come off really easy. It takes a lot of work still for most of them, in my experience. However, I don't use too many brims for my prints if I can help it. One, I have the BQ plates that really help with brims, but if I need good bed adhesion, even on the PEI plates, as like you see here, the gold texture plates, I'll use some sort of adhesive 3D printed adhesive. This one's from Elegoo. I mean, you can use Elmer's glue. I've seen people use. You can use hairspray from Suave, like we have up here. But if you do use hairspray, take it away from your machine when you spray the build plate. Like take your build plate off and walk away from your machine, just because you don't want any overspray on it. Um, but if you're just beginning 3D printing, I would strongly recommend the Elmer's glue, or especially if you're printing with PLA or PETG. I wouldn't recommend any other materials for beginner 3D printers. Other than that, ABS, don't mess with it. Uh, I don't mess with ABS for the most part, unless I have a special project and then I need to have it out in the garage because it's got toxic fumes, and our brewery management can't have that around them. Uh, but definitely, you can get it from Elegoo. Bambu's got theirs. I think Snapmaker's got some on their website now. You can get it on Amazon. There's a whole bunch of different places you can get it from. But you are a beginner 3D printer, uh, or even if you're not, if you're just having bed adhesion issues, I would strongly recommend getting the BQ plates. And yes, we just got affiliated with, but if you check on my live streams, I've been using them for a long time, so I know they work. Um, and I've had one adhesion issue with it, and it's because I didn't properly clean my plate. So I went and cleaned it, fixed it. So those plates, yeah, check them out. And they also allow you to print at a cooler temperature, so it saves you on energy bills. So that's important. But without further ado, we're going to get into this A1 Mini. Um, check out that U1 Snapmaker video either before or after this live stream if you see it. Um, it's pretty cool. I really enjoy making that one. Just seeing those tool heads swap around is just so cool. And you can only see half of right now, but what we're printing on there is pretty epic. You'll see that in the next couple days in our short videos. Let's get into, that was a 3D printed bamboo for the Bamboo Sanctum from Colin. It's coming out pretty good. I think I'm gonna have to order another roll of that gold because I got sidetracked with 3D articulated ducks, as you saw in our shorts videos. Um, and I had to use one of the rolls for the gold. That's the bamboo stalks, the nodes. I used it for those ducks, and man, they turned out great. I got one cooking right now that I can't wait to film. But gonna put some of those up here and test them out before I put the LEDs up behind them, just because I want to see. I want to make sure that they're the vibe that I want for the studio. But they're turning out pretty good. Uh, the glue is turning out like it's holding pretty well, so I'm excited for that. So I'm gonna screen share here real quick, um, and just so I can show you guys the file that we're gonna be working with tonight. So it's over on Maker World. Yeah, sorry you got to see the screen of death. You got this flexi long dragon crystal tail print in place blueprint 3D. Now we support him on here in the studio. Just great work, custom work with light boxes, all sorts of stuff. So he's gone off and made this flexi articulated dragon, and it's got an A1 mini profile. So if you click on that and you click download 3ms, it'll download the file straight to your computer. Right here, we downloaded one earlier, so we'll work with that one in a little while. But that's how you get it from MakerWorld site. So if you're just beginning, you go over there to makerworld.com. And we'll even go from the beginning there, makerworld.com. Makerworld.com. I think I spelled that right. Yep, right there. Is that right? Yep. So you go there, and then you'll type in Blueprint 3D, and it'll pop up right here. This little blue box icon here, Blueprint 3D. And you'll go over to his models, and he's got, or they got other Flexi Dragons, cool, which are cool. Flexi Ice Spike Dragon, tons of cool stuff. Mario storage box / coaster container, collapsible swords, all sorts of fun stuff. So then you'll go over to 3D models, and you'll click the little search icon over here, and then you'll go Dragon, I believe is what I did earlier. Yep. I went down here to one of their first ones. This one here. I like the horns on this one. It was kind of cool looking. So then you'll click the A1 Mini profile again, and then click download. So we got that file prepped up over here. So now I'm gonna go off the screen here and back to the Bambu thing. Oh, and to give you guys an update for the Alpha Centauri area, that's going pretty well. I've got the camera, I think, in the area that I want to put it in, so I'll check on that over here. Well, that's our Alpha Centauri. You can see Riley over there on top of the printers, or on top of one of the Centauris. The one on the far left is down for maintenance / a breakdown that it has. Note the Centauri Carbon owners, if you do have a Centauri Carbon, that little connector piece that you plug your hot ends into, that if you're not careful, that can wobble loose after enough hot end changes. So we've got to take it in with Elegoo to get ours replaced. So that's what's going on in the Alpha Centauri area. Probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll film a couple episodes over there and do some live streams on over there once we get that prepped up. So, and what you can see down there, Colin, to answer or to show off your question earlier that you asked, selling 3D prints. These are some of the things that we're currently printing. Looks like I forgot to straighten up one of those bowls there in the center. Those are the stack of bowls that you can find over on Maker World. If you check out our Maker World profile, you'll see it in our browsing history. And then all the ones up top there on the top shelf, and they're tiny, those are the little cinderwing creatures that Cinderwing puts out. We are very popular for our fair booth. Go back on over here to me, the Bamboo Sanctum, and back to our A1 Mini here. So you get your A1 Mini, and maybe you got the combo, maybe you didn't. It's still gonna apply. I'll do a multicolor maybe next week, but so you'll still have your single roll spool on top here if you don't have the combo. But we're gonna use this because I don't have my little single adapter anymore. So you unbox your A1 Mini or A1 for that matter, and which we have over there, and you get it going, and you don't really know what to do after you unbox it. It's fresh out of the box. I'm gonna it'll put it back here. And so what do I do with my A1 Mini? So my first recommendation before you do anything, please, please, please run a calibration on your machine. I think it's been in the directions, but if not, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to your touch screen here, and you're gonna go to settings, and you're gonna go to down to maintenance, and then calibration, and you're gonna check all three of them. Each one is important for different reasons. Uh, this helps the printer go through its motions, and I'm not gonna do our maintenance on here because it's gonna take forever. It takes about 30 minutes for it to go through all of its cycles, and I want to get to some printing. So please, 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 if you haven't done your calibration on your machine, do that first because that really helps get your printer dialed in to what it needs to do. So, so yeah, what do I do after my calibration? Okay, so you're gonna want to choose your filament. Uh, whether you get filament from Bambu or you get filament from Sunlu or wherever you get it from, you're gonna want to choose the right filament for your uh, project. So we're going to do that dragon today, and any one of these PLAs that we have up here will be fine for it. Personally, I am going to do a, we'll do a yellow one. Why not? I don't think I have a yellow one yet. But and we'll use the refill so that I can show you how to put the refills on the rolls at the same time. So whether you get filament from Bambu or Sunlu, those filament rolls are swappable along with the refills. So I have a couple of them down here. This is a Bambu refill or roll, and this is a Sunlu roll. They're almost identical. Uh, but let's get into this roll of filament for our machine. This is PLA plus 2.0 from Sunlu. And if you are looking for filament, you can use our code BeGlorious on Sunlu's website at checkout. You get a little bit of a discount, and we get a little bit of a kickback at the end of that. And it just helps support the channel. So this is a Bambu roll. So I could have showed you this. So in order to get these apart, you're going to spin left, forward, and the right side backwards. It comes apart. Then you're going to take your refill, and you're going to find the notch on your refill. And where ours is right here, it's a little triangle-shaped cutout. And then on your roll, on one side or the other, there's also going to be a similar triangle-shaped bump. Ours is right here, right here. It's hard to tell that far from the camera. So we're going to put that notch on top of that bump on our roll. Then on the side of the roll, you're going to see where there's a triangle shaped icon right here. And then on the other roll, there's also going to be a triangle shaped icon. You're going to line those up just like so. Ours are lined up. They snug nice and together. And you're going to, the left side, you're going to rotate toward you. And the right side, you're going to rotate away from you. Just like so. And then they'll feel a click. And you're going to want to check to make sure that the teeth on the inside are fully seated. And once that's done, you'll take this tape off, like so. And your refill will have a sticker on it, usually, if it's a Sunmu refill. If it's a Bambu one, I don't remember if it does or not. Hey, Riley, are you joining us for Printing Pretzels, buddy? You checking everything out, making sure everything's supervised? And I just stick the sticker on there for myself to remember what filament it is. Slap it right there on the side. And then we're going to grab our filament end here. And I usually cut the end off just because when they put them on the rolls, they have a tendency to bend the filament end over. And where did my pliers go? I just had them. You can twist it though. They have a tendency to bend the filament end, and sometimes, not always, they can get stuck in your AMS or in the hot end and not go through properly. You gotta get down, buddy. You can't be on the top of my computer. So we're gonna load this up in our A1 Mini here. Find the end. I just lost it. Here it is. And the A1 Mini combo unit comes with AMS Lite. You can also use it with AMS, but it's kind of overkill in my opinion. So there's slots 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're just gonna load this up right into slot 1. It clips on there nicely if it's a bamboo or sunroof spool. There are spools out there that don't quite fit this as nice. There are adapters for it to help hold it on there. But you'll see the filament's loading up through here automatically, which is one of the perks about having an AMS unit. So this is the sunroof. It's the same way. You rotate them, comes apart, find the triangle knots, put the triangle cut out onto the knots, align your triangles, and lock it in. So that's loaded in there. And again, if you're just joining us for the live stream, we're going through and showing how to use the A1 Mini. Seems like I got a little bit of a lag here, guys. Give me just a second to see what's going on with the stream. All right. Seems like it's cleared up. So now I'm going to screen share and show you how to upload your file. We're going to go to screen capture. Yep, right there. You're going to open up. I have a couple windows open here. You're going to go to your Bambu Studio. And you're going to open that up. Sometimes it takes a minute. You're going to get a nice shot of my desktop. I got a lot of junk on there. Spring's coming up. Maybe I'll do some spring cleaning. So while we're waiting for that up, I'll come back here to guys and show you what's going on. We're printing some cool things here in the Bambu Sanctum. We just printed off some tiki totems that are awesome. They're glow in the dark. Two behind me, and then we got some standard wood PLAs out to the side. If you've never printed with either of those materials before, they are very abrasive and they will tear your AMS unit up if you don't do proper maintenance. So check out our AMS unit videos to change out those PTFE tubes. If you start getting hiccups with your AMS units, that's where I would highly recommend you checking out, because that's going to be the first thing that's going to cause you issues with your AMS. Those PTFE tubes wearing out. All right, our Bambu Studio, I believe. Oh, I see what's happening. My computer became unplugged. Ugh. There we go. Let me get back over to the stream here. Back to the screen capture. So our Bambu Studio is open up, and I could technically cheat and go straight there, but I'm going to show you how to open it up from Bambu Studio. So you're going to go to File, Open Project, and ours went straight to Downloads, so we'll go to Downloads. So you can see it right here. I'm going to click on the first one that I got. The second one popped up because we did that live together. Squarebox 2 is not a P1S model. That notification you shouldn't get. I was just clicked on my P1S earlier, so I'm just going to click later. So this is the A1 Mini. If you clicked on the A1 Mini profile when you downloaded it, it'll be there. If not, you're going to have to go here and select your printer. You may have to, and I'll show you how to do that right now. You may have to add your printer. You'll click that little cog, and you'll click here and say you want to add your A1 Mini. You'll click the checkbox, you'll click confirm, and it'll show you, boom, there's your A1 Mini. So now this is our Dragon file from Blueprint 3D. I'm going to take a minute here to pause and check our comments to make sure there's no questions I'm missing. I'll take you out of screen share while I'm doing that. Everett, 55556. Should I get the 85X, which is multicolor printing for 400, or Adventure 5M, which is single color printing, but I will upgrade it later? 5M costs $300. That's hard. That's a hard question to answer, because uh, if you're looking at that, I would say, you're at 400, you're getting pretty close to that. I think it's a P1S combo, and that's fully enclosed, and it's a bigger build plate, more reliable. But to answer your question directly, 85X or the Adventure 5M, both of those are good printers from what I heard. I don't personally have experience with the um either one of those printers, so I can't give you a for sure answer on those two models specifically. I have seen reviews on the 85X, and I've seen good things. But if you're strictly going multicolor, uh, I have to steer you towards a Bambu product. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I just know they work. They're easy to use. And yes, they have their stuff locked into Bambu Studio, and you can't really use Orca Slicer with it. But for me, that I'd rather have the easeability and reliability of that. And their nozzle swapping for the P2S is great because it's the Insta swap, and same thing for the A1 series. Both of these printers have the easy swap nozzle, which I'll go over that one here in a minute. You literally just unclip it and put another one. It magnetically goes back in there, and it's the ease of use is going to save you so much hassle. Um, but the 85X or the 5M and upgrading it, in my personal experience, anytime I get a printer and I upgrade it, I've always regretted upgrading, because it just saves me time to just get the multicolor and go with it. Because then the time I'm spending upgrading is time I could have spent multicolor printing. And so that would be my, if you're going between getting the single color and then upgrading later, or getting the multicolor, that's what I would do. I have no experience with the 85X or any of those I think it's flash forwards printers. I would love to have some experience with that, but currently I don't have the studio budget to have any more than what we have. But I just don't like spending time upgrading if it's something that I can already purchase with a machine. It just doesn't make sense to me. Hope that answers your question, Everett. And then, so what was I? Oh, for our file here, we're going to go back to Bambu Studio. Let me screen capture again. Now, when Riley sent us this question, he was having issues with the edge of his dragon. It wasn't this dragon per se, as far as I'm aware of, but right here where your dragon or whatever file meets the build plate, you can do what is called, in most files, I shouldn't say most files, some files come with this automatically on it. It's called the brim. And you're going to find that under the Others tab over here. Yep, and this one comes with it. So brim type is auto. So it means it's automatically going to generate a brim. So when we slice this file, watch what happens. You slice this plate, and it takes a second. And so I don't see it here. Maybe it didn't show it up on this one. But usually what happens, and I can change it to show you guys, outer and inner brim will do that. So the file itself must not have a brim put to it, but a lot is, here you go. So what brims are, so you can see here that it puts a layer of filament out around the file that's technically almost connected to it. Sometimes if your layers don't go down exactly precise, it will be connected to it. and it can cause problems when it comes to cleanup. I'm going to switch over back to me for a second, guys, so I can really uh, show you what I'm talking about. So let me grab a 3D print here real quick. So we just printed this off on the Snapmaker U1. And when your prints are on the build plate, those brims really help you adhere to the build plate. So if you're having bed adhesion issues, a brim is going to help that because it's just more filament that's in contact with the build plate. Now, what brims do to your file, and there's settings in here, you can really dial it in. But what they do to your file is they put that extra layer of filament around them. So when it comes to taking it off the machine, unless your brim is dialed in really, really well and your machine's dialed in really well, that brim can sometimes stick to the outside of your file. In this case, it was what looked like the dragon that Riley had sent us. Uh, Beyond the Blueprint 78, do you recommend the A1 or P1S for better quality? Is the P1S worth it for the price? Okay, so first part to that answer, I did release a video a couple weeks back about the comparison of these three machines, the P1S, the A1 Mini, and A1. So after the stream, watch that. But on the stream, I will give you my direct answer to that question. I'm going to read it one more time. Blueprint Beyond the Blueprint 78, do you recommend the A1 or P1S for better quality? Is the P1S worth it for the price? So it depends on a couple of things. For better quality, that's a tough answer because the two machines are two different types of machines. One's a bed slinger, and the other one's a Core XY printer. One goes up and down, the other one goes back and forth. The quality of the prints are both outstanding. But as far as my recommendation, the P1S is gonna be the more quality printer, but there's issues that one has that the A1 doesn't have. But if I had to recommend for a new 3D printer, I would definitely say the A1. That one you're gonna have to have a little bit more space, and it's not as like space saving as our P1S is, but it's um it's gonna have the easiest maintenance to it. Uh, the quality is gonna be very, very close. Um, because that bed doesn't move back and forth though on the Core XY, you're gonna get slightly better quality for that. So I hope that answers your question as far as quality goes. And it's again, it's gonna be, I would say, you're gonna get 95% of the quality that you would get on the P1S, you'll get on the A1. So I hope that answers your question. So as far as what brims do or our machines or our files, let me go to the screen capture again here so I can keep you guys up to date. So that's what's going to happen when you print with a brim. So I'm going to go back in, and again, this is on the Others tab when you're in the slicer. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to click No Brim. So what's going to happen there is this file is going to print just like you see with the nozzle and everything. And it's just going to load that. Oh, I got to click Slice. That's why it's not loading. It's going to load that file just as it is, and there's no brim. So we're going to have trouble, depending on what build plate we use, with these little tiny toes or any of these places that have small contacts with the build plate. Especially once we get out here to the tail, you're going to see these tiny little contacts are going to be where we're going to have bed adhesion issues. So I'm going to go back to screen share because now, or get off of screen share for you guys, because now I'm going to show you here on the live stream, and I'm going to try to make sure you can see it, what I'm doing. Clean up this mess a little bit here. Sorry if you hear my pretzels cracking. So how we handle bed adhesion issues are a couple different ways. Again, we just became affiliated with BQ, so I don't want to steer you guys to affiliate things just because of that reason. If you watch our live streams, we've been doing it for almost a year now. We use the BQ plates for a long time. Those I would strongly recommend getting one of those for your machine. We have the one for the A1 Mini. It looks like this right here. It's awesome. I would strongly recommend uh, getting that. But if you don't, and you still have the stock A1 or A1 Mini build plate, like so, this PEI textured sheet that's gold, you're going to want to use what you can use hairspray. Again, spray it away from your machine. Don't get any overspray on it. But if you're just beginning 3D printing, use some sort of adhesive like Bambu has a version of this. Elegoo's got a version of this. Basically, it's just glue that you put on the build plate. And I've even used Elmer's glue sticks to do that. So what you're going to do, let me see if I can get this computer slid over here so you guys can see on the live stream. So here's our build plate, and I'll move my phone out of the way. You guys don't need to see that. There's nothing going on there. So this is our build plate here, and this is just a liquid glue stick that from Elegoo that we have just laying around the studio. I've got tons of them. So we're just gonna slather this uh, on our build plate so that it really helps adhere it to it. And you'll see it come off there or come out of the thing onto there. It gets a little liquidy. And don't worry if it looks liquidy, once the bed heats up, it'll dry. So we're gonna put that back onto our build plate here or our printer here. And then I'm gonna go back over to the slicer to show you all what's going on. Back to screen capture. Here we go. So here's our studio and here's our file. So now we're gonna load our filament up. So like I said, I put in Sunlu PLA 2.0. So now I'm going to show you how to, if you have a brand new printer and you don't have any filament profiles in there. So you're going to come over here and you're going to click this little filament, project filaments cog. If my mouse will move. And we showed this the last week, but I'll go over it again because it's just helpful to know. You're going to have all of your different vendors, your filament types, and printers. First, we're going to select our A1 Mini. Mine's already selected, but you'll select A1 Mini or any of the printers that you have here in Studio. And it's very similar in Orca Slicer. If you're running that, Orca Slicer Studio is a derivative of Orca Slicer. So you'll select that, and then you'll come down to vendor for your filament, and we use all of these ones in the studio, mostly Bambu and Sunlu at this moment. So we got those checked, and then you're going to select your filament types. Again, if you're just beginning 3D printing, I would suggest PLA or at most PETG, which is this one down here. But PLA is going to be your most like fume friendly, and it's going to be the easiest to get to here to your build plate. So we'll select that one. And then once you select that one, it'll populate over here all the different filaments you can select from. So I'm going to make sure that Bambu PLA is selected. It's alphabetical order here. So Bambu PLA Basic is selected. And then we're going to go down and I'm going to make sure that Sunlu PLA 2.0 is selected. Also, probably all of their, I'll make sure all of their PLAs are selected. We'll add those in here. And I'll do the same thing for Bambu, just because I use them so much. And if you're just beginning 3D printing, something that I did not know, I'm going to click confirm, and this takes a minute to load up. Something that I did not know when I was first 3D printing, as this loads up, I'm going to take off screen share because it does take a second. As you're just beginning a 3D printing journey, or if you're, I mean, I didn't know this until like 6 to 8 months ago, maybe a little longer than that, but there is a difference between PLA and glow-in-the-dark PLA or wood PLA. Standard PLA is pretty smooth, so when it goes through these tubes, it's not really gonna tear up the insides of them. Now, if you're gonna print a glow PLA or wood PLA, or sometimes even like the glitter PLA, what that is, and you'll feel it when you get it, it's going to be abrasive because there's additives to it that are going to be on the outside of the filament and the inside that make it do the things that it does. But what that's going to do to the inside of these tubes is going to be like sandpaper, uh, and it's just going to wear apart your tubes. So if you have an AMS unit, it's really going to cause problems with it if you don't have um, the proper equipment to run that. And we'll do a video on how to use glow filament in your machines later on. So let me see if that's loaded up so we can back over there. All right, yep, looks like that's loaded up. So I'm going to get you back over off on the screen share here, and we're going to go back to studio, just so you're not staring at studio all day long on the live stream. So we got our filaments in there, and there's this a generic PLA that loads up in the profile, right? So I'm going to change my color to yellow to match my PLA, and then I'm going to go to Sunlu. These are ones I already had loaded in the machine at some point in time that it thinks is still there. I'm going to go to Sunlu down here now that we've loaded it in there into PLA plus 2.0. And then you're going to see that the slicer is going to show it over here in the preview tab. And now we'll click slice plate, and then it's ready to be sent over to the machine. So that is what it is right there. So, and just a couple little things up here. It tells you how much filament it's going to take and how, like the length of filament it's going to take. And then it's going to tell you the time. That'll take us 2 hours and 18 minutes to print this. But really what we want to see is that first layer go down, because that's important to see. Because that's once that first layer goes down, usually, not all the time, but usually it will be a successful print. It's the most important is that first layer to avoid things. So you're going to click print, and it's going to ask you for where's your printer. So here is my printer, Alfie LAN. You're going to see yours probably if you don't have any like, upgrades that we have on ours from BQ. Some of those upgrades require us to be in LAN mode because of the way Bambu Studio is set up. So we're going to click Alfie, which is our A1 Mini. And it's going to show in here, oh, this is red. Why is this red, Ken? So what you have to do to tell your machine what filament's in it, unless it's RFID tagged like Bambu's filament is, you have to go to your device tab. And here is Alfie. And over here is our filament area. I'm going to take a quick pause here to make sure I'm not missing any questions on the live stream. Take you off of here. And it looks like we're okay. So I'm going to go back to the live stream, or back to the studio. Screen capture, studio. So what's going on here is this is our AMS light. So A1, A2, A3, and A4, those are the slots that you can put the spools into. So if you need to edit your filament, which we do because this is now incorrect filament, you're going to change your color. So you can select any of these ones here, but since ours is yellow, I'm just going to go in here and show you that you can customize whatever color you want it to look like. So we'll just adjust that. And previously we had Sunlu PLA Plus in there, but this is Sunlu PLA 2.0, which can print slightly faster. So we're going to select that. And we're going to click confirm. And then Studio is going to load it in there for us. So now that we have the correct filament in here, we can go back to the preview tab and then click, it should let us slice it again. Wonder why it's not letting us slice. There must not be that much of a difference between 2.0 and, oh no, you don't have to slice it again. I'm incorrect. So we're going to go back to print plate and select our printer. And now it shows the correct filament for the correct color for the correct filament type. And then these options down here, you can do time lapse if you want to. My experience on the A1 Mini, the time lapse is not that great unless you add some sort of add-on for the camera. I always put auto bed leveling on for every print that I do. That just helps again with that first layer adhesion, because it's going to detect every time you print something how close the bed is or how far away it is and adjust for that. And then flow dynamics calibration, and this will help tell us what this does. If you hover over the question mark, this process determines the dynamic flow values to improve overall print quality. It just tells the printer to go through a little bit of a filament test before printing. So we're going to click send, and I'm going to quickly get on over here to the Bambu Sanctum. And so you guys can see that file come over. And we'll move this out of the way. And you'll know it'll successfully send it over and start because it should make some sort of jingle. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on the live stream, but you should see the screen light up on the front here. 61%. So it's headed over. For some reason, if you go through land mode like we have to do because we have the Pananomi, this upgrade requires it to be in land mode because of security reasons. Bambu said. Land mode takes slightly longer to send a print, which is weird because if you go through the cloud, it's got to go external. But it just jingled and it's on its way. So now you're going to see it's going to do a couple things. And while it's doing its things, I'll try to talk to you about what it's doing and why it's doing it. So a couple of pointers before it gets going on things that I've noticed with the A1 Mini. One of the contention points for this printer that you're going to struggle, not necessarily you, but that I've struggled with in the past, is this particular piece right here. So this is where the filament goes into the machine, goes in through these 4 tubes, depending on the color, and it gets converted into 1 tube and then into the print head. So the less resistance you can have from this point to this point, like not having these arches, is going to make your prints or make your life a heck of a lot easier. So normally where we have Alfie is over there next to the A1. And there's usually a different base on this. Let me grab it so I can show you. So on our SCOTUS panels here, and there's different files. You can mount it up on the wall. There's even one that you can put up on top of here. What this does is it mounts it up on the wall so that you can put this above your unit. And if you get the one that, or if you print off and these are things you can print for your machine. If it's above the unit, it's a straight tube. So that's minimal resistance that you have to deal with, or that the machine has to deal with. And this part, is it giving me a notification? Oh, nope, it's going through its things. Oh, it's on the calibration page still. Let me get that off of there so you guys can see what's going on. Back to the home screen. All right. And as you saw, what happened there is it purged the old filament that I had in there and it pooped it outside. If you don't get these under control, if you're just beginning 3D printing, it's going to create a mess everywhere. So the first file that I would ever recommend you printing is some sort of purge bin to put with your machine. This one is by K2 Kevin. It's on his profile. This just slides underneath here and it collects all this gunk. The second one I would recommend you do is print this little deflector because it makes the filament purge go down into the basket. But what it was just doing there is it was doing a vibration compensation. So that just helps the printer with detecting the different vibrations and frequencies that it's got to do for printing. And now what you're seeing is it's going through, I think it's going through, it should be going through its auto bed leveling process. It's detecting how far the bed is away from the print head. I can't tell from the front of the screen. Not yet. It's not doing the auto bed leveling yet. But that filament tube here, if you can get it to where it is as straight as possible, you're going to have less frustrations with this machine. That's the only thing that I've really noticed that uh, can give you a little bit of hiccups because if there's resistance, these don't retract. They don't have very strong motors, so it has a hard time retracting the filament back out of the tool head. If it's straight up and down, I don't really have any issues with it. If it's bent like this and it's doing like 20 to 30 or more filament changes for different colors, then it can be a problem. We probably won't have an issue with it. I say that, knock on wood, tonight because it's just one color. It should just be able to send it in there and it'll be fine. Now it's doing its auto bed leveling process. It's detecting how far the build plate is away from the print head. I'm gonna snag some of those pretzels now. You can hear the bag of pretzels. I apologize. We're eating Snyder's of Hanover twisted sour cream and onion pretzel sticks. We're trying to get through this bag before we move on to the next one for the next live stream. And I've had some people say, Ken, is the A1 Mini just for beginners? And to them, I answer no, because this unit right here. This is something that um, someone commented on our A1 mini video. You can check that out in our channel. That I didn't even know this existed probably 2 months ago. But this tells me that this machine is not just for beginners, because this Chi2 Systems uh, plate cycler C1M turns your A1 Mini from a machine that prints one plate at a time to automating it. It comes with a few additional build plates, and you can program it to where after it's done with, say, this dragon, you can program it to print another dragon right afterwards. It'll lift the build plate off for you, it'll shoot it off the front, and then it'll put another one on and start printing again. And it'll do it over and over, as many build plates and programs as you set into it. So we're going to test that out here in the next few weeks and get some content film for that. It's super exciting. But that tells me that just because it's a smaller machine does not mean it's just for beginners. It's great for beginners, I will say that. But the only limitation to it is the build size, because this machine can do everything that the A1 Mini or the A1 can do, and it 90% it can do that what the P1S does. You just can't print in those filaments that are like ABS that require enclosures specific for heated materials. You can get enclosures to put around them, but then at that point, if you're doing that, you might as well get the P1S. If you're just joining us for the live stream, tonight's episode is all about the A1 Mini, new to 3D printing, and how to use this machine to get the best quality print that we possibly can with the equipment that we have. This is Sunlu Filament. This is a Dragon by Blueprint 3D, and we've walked through the slicer, and we talked about brims. So what do brims do with files? They put a layer of material down with your file, usually at the first layer. Sometimes I think it can go up to the second layer or maybe more, depending on how you program it. But what that layer does is it just helps the material stick to the build plate. But where brims can cause problems is if they're not programmed right, or if they're not, or if the filament's wet, or there's a myriad of different things that can happen. But what it can do is that brim can stick to actually the print, and when you go to take it off the build plate, it helps stick it to it, but then it causes excess cleanup and roughness on the outside of the file. So That is the hardest part about brims. If you can get the brims programmed properly, uh, they're wonderful for bed adhesion. They really help. Um, However, I don't really use them too much for myself because, like I said earlier in the live stream, I've been using BQ build plates, BQ and Big Tree Tech's build plates, specifically their frostbite plates, for a very long time since I owned my first P1S, and it's it makes a huge difference. The things and the angles you can print at without them popping off uh, is amazing. Every once in a while, I'll still use either some glue or some hairspray to help if I know it's gonna have some contention. Just because I really don't like brims, but it just those plates are amazing. Um, I have one stock plate still on my A1 that I swapped out earlier today because I was having an adhesion issue with a BQ plate, but it wasn't their fault. It was my fault. I didn't properly clean the spot that was having the issue. So I cleaned it and I'll swap it back out when I uh, put it back on them. Scotty2553, I just got this printer for Christmas. Love it. Yes. So this printer is a workhorse. The only restriction that I would say this printer has is the that build plate size. It's got everything the A1 has. It's got mostly everything that the P1S has, but it's got something the P1S doesn't have. Is it has a quick swap nozzle. That quick swap nozzle, I'm telling you right now, I own three P1Ss and I hate changing the nozzle because it takes some time. You got to take out two bolts, disconnect some connectors. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes depending on what I've got going on that day. This one, I unclamp it, pull it out, put the new one in, reclamp it. It's awesome. The P2S, the new updated refresh version of this, has that quick swapple bobble one, but I've not upgraded to those yet, just because I think something special is coming from Bambu. I'm not affiliated with them at all anyway yet. Maybe someday I will be. I don't know. Um, but I think that they have some sort of special printer coming out in that price range of like 1,000 to 1,500 to some maybe somewhere in between where the P2S is right now and in between the H2D, because that's a big price gap that right now Snapmaker is filling with their multicolor uh, purgeless system. Um, right now I'm printing a giant rubber duck on there, and if I were to print that on one of my machines over here, it would have an astronomical amount of filament waste. But this one's only going to have the purge tower. So this printer is amazing uh, for fidget toys, for parts that you need to print, for tool accessories around the house. Um, Most of the things that you see up on the SCOTUS boards behind me were printed on either this or the A1, uh, the bigger version of A1. It's awesome. And again, if you're having bed adhesion issues, uh, glue, try that. That's the most cost-effective way to try to handle that. Um, Liquid glue, Elmer's glue, and again, you can do hairspray. We have it here in the studio. Take it away from the machine, spray it, put it on a build plate. Or I think it's like $20, between 20 and $30. You can get a B Cube frostplate build plate, uh, and it really helps with those adhesion issues. Uh, and it just slots on the same spot. Just make sure you select the A1 Mini version if you have this machine. And again, I use all those. And there, I just got it was like a week ago that I got an email from BQ saying, "Hey, we like the way you present things. Are you interested in trying out our new build plates?" So heads up for you guys. Excuse me. In the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have some purple plates to try from BQ. So shout out to them. Thanks for sending those to try out. So we're excited about that. Uh, Beyond the Blueprint 78. Can yanking a PLA print off a PEI plate before it cools down cause the textured gold surface to peel or delaminate? In my experience, no, but it's probably not the best idea to do it. I If you're printing at 70 degrees Celsius, I would wait till it at least cools down to 50. I've done it lots of times. I get excited for the prints. I'm like, oh man, that's really cool. Like when those come off, I really want to crack it, and if my hands can hold it, I want to hold it. So I have not had that experience to where it does. Now I will say that I have a plate to show you guys over here. I will say that if you're using a smooth plate, PEI plate, it can. So here's your gold texture plate, and you can get this from Bambu. But on the other side, it's got the smooth plate. And if you do take it off too soon, I don't know if you can see on camera here, but yep, you can see it right here. I accidentally peeled it off too soon, and it peeled off this smooth plate texture. So I've never seen it do it for the gold side. If you take it off too soon, take it off too soon before it cools down. But I have seen the smooth PEI side do that, just because the smooth PEI side has to heat up hotter. So whatever adhesive is on there, it must have peeled off when I did that. So gold side, I've not seen it happen. But if you got that smooth plate, it's happened to me. So I don't know if you can see it on camera here or not. Uh, but our first layer adhesion is perfect. There's no lifting. So what you'll see with these first layers, and I wish I would have set up a camera here so you could see that. I'll have that set up for the next live stream. I apologize, guys. But this first layer, what can happen is one, you can get lifting off the build plate. So if it lifts off the build plate, you're just going to see it curl up off of it, and that's going to lead to a failed print. So stop it. Uh, scrape off that layer and reapply your adhesive and try again. Second thing that I would say is if you see your file and it looks like it's squished out to farther than where it's supposed to be, that's what people in the 3D printing world have come to call it as elephant's foot. It's like squished out like an elephant's foot. And while it's not going to cause a print failure per se, what it can do, especially for these files that like this dragon that are articulated, is if that foot squishes out far enough, it'll mess up the articulation. So you'll get joints that won't function properly because there's not enough space in between them. Uh, let's see what other things can happen during the first layer. Um, you can get layer shifts as it goes up. So say if I'm walking around doing something during the day and I set this bottle of water in front of here and it's heavy, something heavy, when the plate comes out, if it hits this and it can't go out, it'll cause a layer shift. Or if this is too close to the wall in the back and the plate can't go all the way back, it'll bump that wall and it'll cause a layer shift. And what a layer shift looks like is, and James, I see your comment. I'll get to that in just a second. What that layer shift looks like is you'll have your print, it's going perfectly, and all of a sudden it just moves over and continues printing that there. That's what a layer shift is, and that's a couple of things that can cause that. James, what happened to the Arco? Did you ever get the firmware to update? Did you get the chroma kit working? No and no. So funny story on the Arco. I have reached out to Frozen on their machine, and apparently when they ship mine, it's missing a chip in it, an update chip, so it can't update past a certain firmware. They're sending me a new board to put in there. I'm gonna put that new board in, and I'm gonna film the content, and you guys, at least people will know how to change the board if they need to. And then if that doesn't work, they're gonna send me a whole new unit. Just It's just the luck of the draw is what I got there. Chroma kit seems to be functioning properly. It plugs in. The machine can detect it. I just can't use it. I can't even print in single color anymore. So it's kind of a paperweight right now. But Frozen has shipped out the part. I've already got a shipping notification, so it's on its way. Along with that big enclosure that they're sending to me, and that also the air purification system that is on its way. Those we both paid for both of those out of our own pocket, so they're not like sending us stuff. It's just stuff they offered for us to get that is going to be useful for our studio ahead of time, so we can review it ahead of time. So I hope that answers your question of that. Donkey Lord 113. I'm thinking about buying my first 3D printer, trying to pick between Bambu A1 Mini or Ender 3. Which one do I go for, guys? Uh, I I had an Ender back in the day, and I spent more time tinkering with it. I don't know what Ender is like now, because I haven't used them in a very long time. But I will say the A1 Mini or the A1 is going to be the easiest entry into the 3D printing world in general at this moment. Um, and if you're not just entering in just even the ease of maintenance, the ease of just working with the machine. I spend more time working on my Elegoo Centauri carbons or my frozen printer than I do any of my Bambu machines. The only time I gotta usually work on my Bambu machines is I gotta do maintenance or I get a nozzle clog because the filament isn't uh, great. And I haven't had that in a long time because I have switched to Bambu and Sunlu for my main filaments. Um, so those are really high quality filaments. And if you're shopping for Sunlu filament, you can use code BGlorious, and that will get you a small discount and also help out the channel. All right, I'm glad I helped you out answering that question. Um, yeah, James, that printer, it's we'll get it working. We'll get it working. Because it's a huge multicolored printer, and I just would like to have it going in the studio. And it's got that cool conveyor belt. Hey Riley, are you coming to join us for the live stream again, buddy? Uh, if you guys haven't checked out some of our other videos, you'll see our cats in the studio here. They're our supervisors. Scotty2553. Can you print with multiple types of filament on the same model? Regular PLA combined with PLA silk with the printer automatically adjust heat and speed for different types? Yes, but no. So yes, you can print with as long as it's the same actual type of material. I gotta set you down, buddy. Okay, gotta set you down. As long as it's the same actual type of material. So you can't use, as far as I'm aware of, you can't use PLA with PETG. But if you're using PLA silk, PLA wood, PLA glow, as long as it's still that nexus of that same material, yes, I've done it on all of my machines except for A1 Mini because I don't really print with PLA glow on it because these motors can't really handle the abrasive friction or wood filled filament. But yes, as long as it's still that nexus of filament types or type. Like again, if it was PETG, you could do PETG and PETG glow. I'm not sure about like PETG and PETG carbon fiber. That's a little bit different because the carbon fiber requires different super in-depth thing. But I wouldn't be printing with carbon fiber on that again because of the abrasiveness of the fibers. I hope that answers your question, Scotty. So let's see here. And the printer will automatically adjust for the heat and speed if you have it properly sliced. I will have to add that caveat to that because if you just throw in PLA silk with PLA profile, it won't automatically know and adjust for that. Even if I don't even think it would, even if it had the Bambu PLA Silk RFID tag in there, because you didn't, it wouldn't be properly programmed in the slicer. So I can show you guys what that is real quick here. Let me get you on to screen capture. This will give you a little bit of a multicolor preview for as what we're going to do for next week. So we're going to go back on a screen capture here real quick. And in Bambu Studio, we're going to go back to our Dragon file here. So say for Scotty's question, we're going to add our second filament type in here. So we have Sunlu, and I'm going to go to, say, a Sunlu Silk PLA Plus. We're going to do the bottom half in Sunlu PLA Plus 2.0, and then we're going to do the top half in that Silk PLA. I'm going to change this to like a higher contrasting color. So first we're going to do is click on our model. I'm going to click this paint bucket, and we could individually go through here and paint all of these. That would take way too much time. So just for simplicity purposes, I'm going to go over here and go to height range. And height range is what it's going to do. It's going to let me select a certain height of the model and change that color. So see here where those, it's hard to see on screen right now, but what you're going to see here when I click is it changed color. So now in that section where it's blue, as long as we have this programmed in here, Sunlu Silk PLA Plus, it's going to go and put that right where that's supposed to go in the proper files or in the proper settings. So when it switches from the yellow Sunlu PLA Plus 2.0, it'll switch over to the proper settings for the Silk PLA Plus. So once, and you're going to see when I slice it, oops, let's make this a little more level. And you're going to see when I slice it, it's going to add some additional time because Silk PLA needs to be printed at hotter and slower, hotter temperature, slower speeds. So it added about 20 minutes to the model just for that section to be printed. And it's going to add some flushed material. So it's going to flush out almost an entire gram of filament because if it's when it does the color changes here, when it goes from yellow to blue, it's going to purge out some material. And this tower here that's printed is going to be the material that it's got to print with it, so it can flush out the old material out of the nozzle and put the new in and keep it going. So I hope that explains it to you. If you program it that way, it should automatically go and put it in there as long as you load the right filament into the right slot. I've done that before. And it printed successfully, but it was ugly. Very, very ugly. So let me get back over here. So let's see what we got going on here in the comments. I heard that PLA silk has a bit of TPU in it. Is that true? That's why it behaves differently. So you need to change the speed and nozzle temp, I think. I'm not sure about TPU. I know it's got some sort of additive, so it gives that shine. I'm not sure exactly what the additive is, but in order to get that additional shine, it has some sort of additive to it. It could be TPU, it could be, and I'll have to do further research on that, so maybe I can do that for next week's live stream and have that answer for you. But I will say there are silk, like the ducks that we just printed, and I don't know if you guys can see it over there. I've got a giant rubber duck printing on there. I'll have that in a shorts video for later this week. And you're welcome, Scotty. Happy to help. But something adds that shine to it. I don't know what exactly the additive is to it, but it does have to print hotter and slower. And you also get other types of silk materials, like Elegoo's got this black purple silk material. So it's got to print hotter and slower because not only does it have that shine to it, but it's got two different colors in it. It's got the purple and the black. And if you change the way, if you hold the file and rotate it, you'll see it. One side of the file will be purple and the other side will be black, and it'll like gradiently shift. It's really cool. So if you haven't checked out the different silk profiles, excuse me, silk profiles, check those out. Those are really cool. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see here. And then again, there are tons of different ways you can organize if you have the multicolor unit, the AMS light for your machine. You can mount it up on the wall, which I personally do. I do it with our SCOTUS panel. I printed this file off, and it just uses the original screws, and it hooks it into the SCOTUS panel. But there's a wall mount option that you can put with like drywall anchors. I would make sure, if you can, anchor it into a stud, because this is, if you have four filled rolls of filament on there, it can get pretty heavy. If you go back a few weeks and watch our live stream, we have one of these units crash down because we didn't anchor it into a stud behind the unit. So it's kind of funny, comical moment for the live stream. But this thing's printing out really well. And since we use the proper profile, it's going to allow it to compensate for the different material. And it's nice that nowadays there is profiles for filament in Studio and a Orca Slicer, uh, because it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. I started printing back in 2018, and in that era, there was a lot of testing for the filament, and there was a lot of unknowns. So now that this is out here, it makes it so much easier for newer folks to come in and plug and play. And I'm all about that life because it makes my life more efficient. I can run more machines. My time is allocated other places. So it's just efficiency is key. So, but it's really cool. And let me take a look at this tail here. Uh, the tail is printing out pretty good. Um, there's an angle on this tail that comes out, and that's something that, as a new printer, new hobbyist, I should say, you're going to want to learn how to do supports properly. And there's different ways and different supports to use. But the main thing to keep in mind with supports is that's for things that stick off the build plate. So as your printer prints, it goes up by layer. And if you have a layer here in the center of the plate, but something's got to print over here, the next layer, way over here, it can't cross that gap with the material. You'll get stringing, which is like a long strand, and it'll just sag down. Uh, and then this piece that's over here that's not connected to the plate is not going to print properly or print at all. So what you have to do in the slicer, and we can cover this in an additional video on a live stream, is you have to program a support to print with these layers so that when you get to that point that isn't connected to the build plate, it can print that with it. And it costs additional material, but it's so you can print things that are they're called overhangs. So if it's got an angle, if it goes past a certain threshold, it needs to be supported. Otherwise, it'll fail to print. So it's important to have that. And the reason why I bring that up for the Dragon is if you were to print this in a bigger version, a much bigger version, you might need to support the tail because the tail has an angle that's about, I'd say 30 degrees. It's not so big of an issue just for such a small file. But as you get bigger, those angles get more pronounced. So just keep an eye on that. If you're going to print big things on bigger printers, your angles are going to matter. And if any of you guys, if I've missed anything for this beginner friendly live stream, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Riley, if you come back and watch this live stream, this one's for you, buddy. We're trying to get this dragon printed so you can see firsthand on what those brims do when they're printed on a file. Sometimes they're hard to get off and they can cause scarring, or sometimes they're just like welded to it and you got to take a tool, it's called a deburring tool, to take off those brims. And even then, sometimes in these articulated dragons or things that have small crevices, you can't get the deburr tool in there. I'm gonna grab me another pretzel, maybe. And a lot of people have asked me, especially people just getting into the hobby, is can I take my things I print, can I take them to art fairs or take them to my schools? Can I sell them? Yes, you can sell them, but you have to be careful. Um, and when I say be careful, I don't mean like caution, like something's gonna hurt you. we're gonna be careful. I mean, support the artists with a commercial license. If you're gonna sell something to make a profit, that is an idea of somebody else's, please support the artist. Like Blueprint 3D, we sell some of their light boxes, some of their fidget clickers, things like that. We could sell this dragon at the art show uh, when we go to one in May. Uh, we support Cinderwing 3D, who does these articulated dragons, and there's a various numbers of artists that we support with our art fair sales. So that's just something that I think it is applicable to 3D beginning 3D printers. And if you're going to sell things um, at a school, I'm not sure if it's going to be a big deal, but if you're going to go out there in a larger capacity with the intent to sell and make money, uh, definitely support the artist and where the idea came from, or learn how to design your own files, and then you have control over it. And Tinkercad is a pretty good program to start out with. I haven't got there yet, but I will someday. And even if you don't sell things, it's Tinkercad's good for making like prototype models if you want to try to build your own type of model. If you need a bracket for something, it's a good program to learn that in. And if you're curious about anything that's in the studio, like those bamboo poles that are down there, a couple weeks ago we printed off those. Those are going to be decor we have here. You can see up on that side of the screen, where this side of the studio is the bamboo sanctum, and we're developing different sets to do different recordings and do live streams on there. So this is our bamboo side of the house. Yes, we have a Snapmaker printer here right now, but it's currently the only side of the house uh, grotto that has a power station on it. And I'm trying to keep the multicolor printers on the power station so that if the power goes out, we don't have a bunch of filament waste for no reason. But we have another side of the studio that I'll show you here in a second. Let me answer this quick. James, Tinkercad and Microsoft 3D Builder are terrific for beginners. Also, Mesh Mixer, great tool for fixing 3D models. Thanks for that comment. I appreciate that. I have seen Mesh Mixer before, and it does look pretty cool. So uh, if you guys are interested in designing your own files, those are three good programs to try out. And then James has a good point. They are all free. Uh, so I'm going to show you guys over on the other side of the grotto, Alpha Centauri. So on the notes of art fairs for beginners and selling things, you can see as we're getting prepped for summer, I was stacking up some things that we're going to be getting out there. So I'm just testing out, oh, do they fit? How do these displays work? I printed off a bunch of these display bowls from Maker World, and they work fantastic. But I'm going to walk over here, and hopefully you guys can see me in a second. And my microphone isn't cut out. Hi, guys. I'm over here. So this is the Alpha Centauri area. Call it Alpha Centauri because we have a bunch of Centauri carbons here. We order 3 of them. Yes, I know there's a big debacle about the Centauri and the multicolor, and we're right there in the thick of it with everyone. It's rough. And now the Centauri Carbon 2 is coming out. It's rough. But I wanted to demonstrate to you all on what kind of process it is to take something off a build plate. So right now we're printing some things off, and the most satisfying thing for me is when a new print comes off the build plate, you can crack it and peel it off. Sometimes you don't have to peel it off, it pops right off. So that's some things that we got printed on going on here. And you can see tons of other prints that we've got down here. Again, most of this is Cinderwing 3D stuff. This is by Pork 3D. It's a little gift box that you can print as a new 3D printer. That's not multicolor. You print it by piece, and you can print all this on the A1 Mini. So, but that's this side of the studio. We're always upgrading, doing cool things. Just wanted to give you guys a quick glimpse of what was over there. get back over here to the Bambu Sanctum. One of these weeks we'll have it ready over there to do some recording. So our layer are down great. This dragon's printing pretty well. I'm excited for it. The articulations are doing well. The adhesion's spot on. Trying to think of what else beginner printers need to know. If you haven't checked it out yet, we do have the spa day maintenance video for the A1 Mini out. You can check that out on our channel. We had to go back and edit that video, funny story, because from the time that we got our A1 Mini to the current iteration of the maintenance stuff, we learned that instead of using grease on the rails, you have to use lubricant oil. And Bambu just provides some of that in the, it's not like welcome kit, but with the printer when you get it. So check out that video. It's pretty important to know as a beginning printer, because if you don't do your maintenance, you will start getting print fails, and you'll wonder why, because we did. So we got the maintenance. As far as the AMS light goes, this unit's pretty easy going. Again, if you're gonna try to print with a glow filament, I wouldn't do it on this machine, or any wood filament. Anything that has an additive in it, it's gonna really struggle with these tiny motors. It's just because it adds extra friction. Scotty, when changing nozzles, do you have to purge out existing filament, or can that little piece just remain in the nozzle until the next time you use it? So, excuse me, sorry about my cough. I'm getting over a cold. If you're not gonna purge it, which I personally would go through either my menu or go into the slicer here. In a second, I'll show you how to do that. You can, but I would manually cut the filament, and how you do that is you go over to the side there and you push the cutter lever. That just gives it a clean cut so that the next piece of filament that goes into that nozzle can push it properly, instead of if it just pulls it. If you just pull it off there, it won't leave a clean cut, and when the next piece of filament goes in there, it will possibly shoot off to the side and cause a filament jam, and then it's just, you might, at that point, you're looking for a new nozzle. So if you're going to do it that way, I would just recommend using the filament cutter and making sure that cut gets clean, and then you can swap it out. But I did say I would show you guys how to unload in the slicer, so let's do that real quick. We're going to go back to screen capture, and we're going to go to device tab. So when your printer's not printing, there are two excuse me, two buttons over here. You have the unload and load option. You can click the filament that you want to put in there, and again, if you're not printing, if it's loaded in there, like this yellow one, the unload button will be an option. If it's not loaded in there, you'll click this one, and you can click load as long as there's available filament to load it. So that's a simple way to do it in the slicer. 90% of the time it works. But let me get back to our studio here. Sometimes it doesn't work, but there's also a manual way to do it on the touchscreen. So there's different ways to do it. I usually do it through the touchscreen, but whenever I do a filament change, it's usually after a print's done and it's retracted the filament as far out of the tool head. Usually at that point, I don't think it leaves the filament in there once it's done. It retracts it back, and then I swap out my filaments the way I want to. One of the most important things, this part of maintenance that you're going to want to know for this machine, in any of the Bambu machines, in really any of the multicolors that I'm aware of, they have a filament cutter in them. And over time, whether you're printing with PLA, PETG, glow filament, that cutter, I guess, pretend that this tube is a piece of filament coming down into your machine, into the tool head. That cutter, when it does a color change, has to cut that filament off so it can retract it to put the new one in. And every time that cutter comes in and cuts that filament, it has a potential to get dull, or it will get dull over time. Um, and in that maintenance video, we go over how to change it. Excuse me. But if you start getting retraction errors, like it's the machine will say failed to pull filament out of the tool head, that can be a possibility uh, for what's going on. If you start getting jams and stuff. Whew. And it's really easy to change out. You take the tool head off, or the cover off, and that pops off. And there's one, I think it's one screw. You unscrew, it unfolds out. You clip it out, put the new one in. And when you unclip the old one, you'll see right where that filament hits that cutter every single time. Uh, it'll wear it's not really a shiny spot, like a dull spot into the blade. Excuse me. James, you may want to talk about the importance of Z offset adjustment after auto bed leveling. So as far as Z offset goes, uh, if your printer isn't able to dial itself in particularly really well, which I haven't really had too much of an issue with Z offset with this machine, our Frozen Arco, when I go to print with PETG, a Z offset is you have to manually change the distance the printer thinks, and I could be explaining this wrong, because I don't do it very often. Uh, it You have to change the Z offset to make the printer think it's further away or closer to the build plate than it actually is. Uh, that's just in case if the printer can't really do it on its own. Excuse me. Um, 90% of the time, even with my Centauri carbons, that, and I'm so glad we're in the era that we don't have to worry about it too much, uh, with 3D printing. Uh, that auto bed leveling function, really comes in clutch. Now, one of the other things that I do when it comes to the offset and stuff like that, bed leveling is a thing. It's not as much of a thing as it used to be, but even on my P1Ss, uh, or my Centauri carbons, bed leveling is, there's flywheels underneath your machines, um, that adjust the balance of the build plate. What you have to do with those flywheels, and in days past, you would do it with a piece of paper. Um, you would adjust the balance of your uh, build plate. So the level, not the balance, I should say, the level of your build plate. And I don't mean the level from the ground, I mean the level from the print head. Uh, Whether the printer thinks this spot is lower from it than this spot over here. I hope I'm explaining that way right. That's the first time I've ever explained something like this on a live stream. But Z offset and bed leveling is important. Most of the machines nowadays, especially the one from Bambu, have a really good calibration. That's why I started at the, if those of you that are joining us, without getting too much into the weeds here, uh, you start right out of the box with a calibration. That allows your printer to adjust for any vibrations that happen during shipment, anything that may change from the factory, and it gives it a chance to refresh itself and really hone itself into what's going currently on it or on with it. So it'll go through the build plate detection and a couple of other things that it goes through. Vibration, because if your vibration compensation isn't in dial in really well, you'll start seeing layer lines. And what layer lines are is you can see where the layers are being built uh, because of vibrations of the machine. So just a couple of things that when I was 3D printing in the beginning, I didn't know. And there really wasn't vibration compensation back then, but we're in a whole new ballgame now. Do any of you out there, if you're just beginning your 3D printing journeys, are there any issues you run into, like bed adhesion, or maybe you don't even know? Like, what are the things you're struggling with currently? Riley, good to see that you joined us. We're printing a dragon, and we're instructing about brims. I got your email. And again, if you guys have any questions, you can email me at Ken, or not Ken, sorry, the Glorious Geeks 001 at gmail.com. I'll drop that in the chat real quick. Let me get on over to the chat box real quick. Thanks, Riley. That dragon is pretty cool. It's by Blueprint 3D. Scotty, is it better to clean the plate with soap and water or wiping down with alcohol? Excuse me. Okay, there's a two-part answer to that question. Uh, it depends on which plate that you're working with. Generally, it's better to do soap and water, but there are certain different types of build plates that have different materials on them that uh, alcohol can do better. Uh, and then there's also different types of materials on them that alcohol may hurt them. Uh, I usually just use soap and water for my BQ plates and my texture PEI. Riley, email me about my printer. Not yet. I'm currently digging out my Neptune 4 Pro out of the garage. We've got to troubleshoot it with you. Um, but what I am covering is the question you had about the dragon and what's going on with that. What's happening, I think, with your dragon and the edges of your dragon is there's a brim sitting that is in your slicer, and you're gonna want to make sure it's in the beginning of this live stream. But I can show you real quick, just for a recap for those that are watching the live stream. Uh, I'll show them an orca slicer this time. So, or show everyone an Orca Slicer this time. So we're gonna screen capture here. I'm gonna open up Orca Slicer this time. Again, let's not do screen capture while we wait for that to load. You'll get the infinite screen of death. Again, why, if you're using the A1 Mini, you can't use Orca Slicer with the A1 Mini anymore because Bambu has locked down their firmware and their updates, and it it's kind of like what Apple does with their phones and um, it's like their own ecosystem. Well, Orca Slicer is a community-driven program, and Bamboo Studios based off of Orca Slicer, as is Crucial Slicer. But without getting too much into the weeds, let's see if this is open up yet. Okay, so screen capture. So we're gonna go to our prepare screen. Oops, probably should open up something. Let's open up this. This is the Tiki Totem that I printed off. Actually, you're trying to print a dragon, so let's open up a dragon. We're gonna open up this peacock dragon that I was. No, I don't need to save that. This is the peacock dragon. Actually, I just put out on a short that we printed. Oh, hi Tiki Totem. Bye Tiki Totem. So this is the peacock dragon. Your dragon's going to be kind of similar, just different. But the articulations and what we're talking about today is going to be the same. So in the slicer, let me open it up here a little bit. You're going to go to the others tab over here. There's going to be a box down here, the brim. I'm going to bet that yours either says auto or it's got one of these other options selected because the photos that you sent me, there was a brim on the file. That's what's causing those rough edges on the outside because it's stuck to it. So we select no brim, and you guys are gonna see how long this takes on a Snapmaker U1 with all these color swaps. So maybe might take a minute to download this. I'll pop back over when it's done slicing. There's a lot of color swap. Let me get back to studio here. And so I think that's what's going on with your print, Riley. Is my suggestion is check that setting. Now I'm going to give you another piece of advice. What brims do is they help things adhere to the build plate. I'm going to recommend you do is I don't know if you have a gold plate like this, the texture PEI plate. I would take either Elmer's glue or like one of the liquid glue sticks from Elegoo or Bamboo, and you're going to take it. And Elmer's glue is just fine. I've used it too. Um, you're gonna rub it on there and then print on it. If you see the paste, it's fine. It's okay. If you see the liquid, it's fine. It's okay. Um, it's it's just gonna help you adhere that print to the build plate. Because those little articulations, those links that make the dragon do its thing, don't have a very big surface to attach to the plate. So you have to help them adhere to it. And that's what the adhesive does. Hey, can you show us how to make whatever you want, or do you use an app? If you're talking about making a file from scratch, that is going to be in Tinkercad or in Microsoft. It was up in the chat here a lot. Microsoft 3D Builder or Mesh Mixer. I'll put that again in the chat. And I currently do not know how to do that. That is one skill I do not have. But I'll put that in the chat for you. So Tinkercad, Microsoft. What was it? I gotta go up and read it again. I have a hard time remembering the Microsoft one. Microsoft 3D Builder. 3D Builder or Mesh. Okay. And these are all free. Those are the Mesh Mixer. Those are the three programs that you can make any file you want. Um, it will take some learning and some skills, but I believe in you. It can be done. 3D Builder. Thanks, James. I appreciate that. But that's what's going to help you with your dragon and getting that to come off build plate without those rough edges. If that doesn't fix it, let me know. There's one other thing that I think you could try, but I want to see if this works first. Mesh Mixer is more of a tool. Okay. Uh, I would start with either Tinkercad or Microsoft 3D Builder. Alrighty. Those will be what you can use to design your own files. Thank you, James. That dragon's still slicing. There's so many color changes. Scotty 2553, got to run. Thank you so much for the info. Absolutely, Scotty. Thanks for dropping in. And if you haven't, hit that like button. Appreciate it, buddy. We got about another 20 minutes here on the live stream, so this is where I'm going to open it up for any Q&A. You guys have any questions about your printer or your setup? Drop them in the chat. I Let me know what you guys got running, what printers you're using, any questions you have, any struggles you have. Because believe you me, I've had plenty of my own. And I don't know if you guys can see it over there or not, but sometime tomorrow morning that duck comes off that printer. I'm so excited for that thing. It's gonna be as big as the AMS light, I'm pretty sure. And it's articulated. I have a smaller version around here somewhere. Um, but uh, take a quick peek at him, see how he's doing. Oh yeah, he's doing great. Doing great. I honestly don't know what'll be bigger, my 8 month old, or this duck. I'll have to take a picture of him holding it. It's massive. James, thanks. Have a great evening. The wife is calling me. All right, you be glorious. Thanks for tapping in. And again, if you're just starting 3D printing, stick with your PLA. That's going to be your safest, most user-friendly filament. It's going to be easiest to adhere to the build plate, in my opinion. Um, Something I didn't know if you're just joining us on a live stream, or if you're just joining this point of the live stream after I post it. Um, just because it says PLA does not mean it's just PLA. So when I was new into the hobby, I saw PLA, I saw PLA glow, I saw PLA wood. I'm like, oh, it's all PLA. Oh, it's not. It's not the case. Uh, Mike Field 7977. Two P1Ss and A1. I kind of want to get an A1 Mini. What exactly is that screen thing on your A1 Mini? So, my favorite upgrade so far for the A1 Mini has been our Panda Nomi. You can get that from Big Free Tech. It's an upgrade that you can do, but you will have to operate your printer in land mode, which it doesn't cause me an issue. I manage all my stuff from my home at work. But if you're out uh, and about and you want to view your printer from your phone or something, you won't be able to do that anymore. But this upgrade it gives personality to your printer. If you go back and look at our shorts like 6 months ago, we upgraded this and we actually took our A1 Mini Alfie. We took them to Panera and started showing them off in Panera on like what 3D printing was. It was a big hit. He enjoyed it. Kids enjoyed it. But it's the Pananomi from Big Tree Tech. You can program it to have any emojis on there that you would like. You can program it to have a certain emoji for the certain thing the printer is doing. So like when it's heating up the nozzle, you can have like an angry red emoji. If you know how to program, make your own GIFs, they can do GIFs. It's a certain file size, but it's pretty cool. Eventually, I'm gonna get around to having one on each machine someday with our like logo with a GIF on it. So Raven Darkcloud, howdy, how's it going? It's going great, Raven. We're doing great things here on the live stream. I'm excited. We're teaching people how to use their A1 minis, uh, giving some of the newer folks that are into the hobby some easy advice if they have any problems. We talk to them about brims. We talk to them about a little bit about supports and how to program a filament profile into their slicer, and basically from opening the box and getting your printer calibrated all the way to loading up your first file, where to get it from on MakerWorld, things like that. Nomi does some cool things. Yes, Nomi does some pretty awesome things. Mike Shields, I have started liking to print, and honestly, my first design is fishing lures. So I'm thinking of switching to PETG. I'm kind of scared. Uh, what are you worried about with PETG? Because let me show you. So all of the brackets that you see on the post behind me on the SCOTUS panel, those are all PETG. All the things holding the things up onto these AMS units, and the risers for the printers are all PETG. Uh, and again, if you guys are getting filament from Sunlu, their website, you can use our code BGlorious. It'll give you a little bit of a discount. Um, Let me show you something over here in Alpha Centauri. All those bowls over there on the bottom, those are all out of PETG. Uh, and those trays that those little up there on the shelf, those are all made out of PETG. Those present boxes on the back are made out of PETG. So if you got questions, I definitely have some experience with PETG if you'd like. Let me know what your concern is. Raven Dark Cloud A1 A1 Mini, yes. Those two printers, if you're just starting, they're the most user friendly. Um, the only difference to me between the two printers is just the build size. A little bit more maintenance on the A1 just because it's got, the choose the access rods to lubricate. But and if you're gonna be a long-term printer, I think eventually you're gonna want to upgrade to that A1. Anyways, that's why in our video we recommended the A1 for a general recommendation, just because it can grow into that printer more because it does now have the compatibility with these AMS units. This one does too, but you don't get to maximize uh, the build plate volume for the color swaps. You'll have if you do the same multicolor file on each machine, you'll get so like our little critters that here. So if this was a multicolor file, if we would be able to print 15 pretzels on this one versus 30 pretzels. This is just random number, I don't know, but uh, but it would have the same color, same amount of filament waste on both machines. Uh, Mike says, I'm waiting for my Best Buy app to notify me when they have the A1 minis in stock. All right. Uh, where did I put the box? But A1 mini, how's this thing? You guys, I wish you guys could have heard that. So that printer's done. Um, the A1 mini has this thing from T2 Systems where you can fully automate it, where it takes it off the build or takes the build plate off, and you just gotta crack it later, puts another build plate on, and keeps printing. So look for that content coming out from us pretty soon. We're gonna review this thing, and uh, as long as it's working out, our A1 Mini is probably gonna go from there over there because it needs a little bit more room to be able to shoot those build plates off, and I gotta figure out like some sort of system to do that with. But that's coming up soon. Uh, I just figured, Mike, I just figured it's harder to get good prints, I guess. I have not printed with it at all, yet I do have some. I was there. I've been there. I'm there currently with TPU. I've got some. I did like two prints on the live stream with it. First experience ever with it. TPU is fun. But back to PETG, uh, it's a little scary, but it's not as scary as you would think. So if you here, it's easier for me to demonstrate. So can you drop it in the chat what brand of filament that you have for PETG? This way I can see if there's a profile on um, Studio for you. Because the PETG that I use the most, yeah, we have an affiliate link for Sunlu, but we're not like sponsored by them in any way. But I love Sunlu's filament. It's affordable, high quality. Uh, the only current issue they have right now is their refills cost more than their normal spools. So it's like for every 10, I think it's every 10 refills you get, you could have gotten an extra spool of filament, standard spool with a thing on it. So, but I'll check the comments here in a second for Mike's brand, but show screen share real quick. So if you're printing on the A1 Mini for PETG, it's going to be the similar thing as like we talked about earlier in the live stream. So on the home, we're going to go a brand new file. Let's say we're going to print this Good Infinity boxes by One Maker Show. We're going to open, say we're going to print this one. Is there an option for A1 Mini? Yeah. We're going to download the A1 Mini version. No, I don't need to save this. So this is the A1 Mini. It pops up like it's supposed to. So if you have, let me check the comment before I move further, just in case it was able to be dropped. Sunlu and Elugu. Okay, cool, perfect. Both of them have a profile in Studio, I think. So back to screen share. So, whoops, back to Studio. All right, so you're gonna go in here, and like we did earlier, you're gonna go to the slog, and you're gonna go to Sunlu. Oh, it looks like Elugu doesn't have in Studio here. I know they have it in Orca Slicer. But in Studio, Sunlu has their vendor, and then you're gonna go to. And by the way, I've used Sunlu's Elugu in Sunlu's profile, and it works just fine. You're gonna go down to PETG. You'll check that, click confirm. It'll take a minute to load when you do that, and then you'll be able to go to Sunlu and change your filament type to PETG. Now you'll slice it, and you'll be able to print in PETG on the A1 Mini. Again, I would strongly recommend that blue. Oops, you guys are still on screen share. Sunlu, Elugu, and eSun are my go-to affordable filaments. I agree, and they all have profiles in Orca Slicer, and I know in Studio, uh, Sunlu is in there. But like I was saying, even with PETG, you don't have your cryo grip build plate, which is specifically designed for PETG and PLA from BQ. I would definitely put your adhesive on your build plate before you put it down. It's just going to help with that adhesion. PETG, in my experience, has a little bit more tendency to lift off the build plate before more than PLA. Not much more, but uh, that contact surface really matters for that. But if you use that profile, I've used the Sunlu profile for Sunlu filament on this machine specifically, and it works just fine. So, and you can do multicolor with PETG, no problem. Put it in there, and it does the same. I will say, you'll notice on your nozzle, PETG is a little bit more messy, so you'll want to clean the end of your nozzle every once in a while just to keep it clean. The little pad in the back should work, but sometimes it can get a little gooey. Mike feels, thank you, no problem. Glad I could help, and I hope that it helps others out there as well. Moving from that PLA to that PETG was a big step for me, but it's important. Something that I didn't know when I first started 3D printing is PLA. If you put it in the sun, if you put it next to heat, like even if it's like next to I don't know, a heater vent, if the heater vent is hot enough, you can warp it. The sun, especially if it's black or a darker color PLA, it is going to warp it. I promise you. Even here in Michigan in the summer, it warps it. I've seen it happen. It happened to me. I learned my lesson the hard way. PG has not done that to me yet. Now I'm sure if it gets hot enough, it'll warp too. But it has more of that heat resistance, just because you'll see in your profile when you go to print, it prints at a higher temperature, so that means it's a little bit more resistant. It's made out of a different material. PLA is made out of a cornstarch-based material. I believe PETG is made out of a I think it's polyurethane. I can't remember what the P and the G stand for, but it's an oil-based poly material, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Raven Dark Club. If you print TBU, use the glue to ensure you can get it off the bill plate. I learned that as well. And I would not recommend printing TPU in an AMS unit. Don't do it. It's too stretchy. There are supposedly some that will do better than that, but you're gonna get your gears that push. Not enough rigidity with a TPU to keep it from flexing and going forward. TPU is really a flexible material. Some of them are a little more rigid, but the TPU is known for doing those airless basketball. Excuse me, airless basketballs. Uh, those Crocs. You see people printing shoes. Those flexible materials that you can use. Somewhere around here, I have a tennis ball for Riley to bat around, made out of TPU. Mike Fields, the shelving or table setup behind you looks real solid. Where did you find that, dude? Uh, anyway, go Lions. Yes. Uh, Lions. My favorite team. Thank you. Uh, the shelving. You can order it from IKEA. It's called B-Roar, B-R-O-R. And then the panels are the SCOTUS panels. And the video that I'm currently in the middle of filming uh, explains how I tie the two together with the brackets that you can find on Maker World. So stay tuned for that one. But B-Roar, B-R-O-R, and then SCOTUS, SKADIS, on IKEA's website. And then there are, and I believe Raven Darkout is designing this sort of Centauri carbons. There's files you can print for your printers. So like this riser that I have behind me has SCOTUS panels for the side that literally you use some of the screws you get from Bambu with your, I think it's the hot end, to screw, because I have a ton of them, to screw into the riser. You print them, and you just use those little tiny screws, and you get your riser for your AMS unit you can stack on top of there, and then you get a SCOTUS panel for each side of your machine to hang things off of. I got build plates hanging off one side, nozzles hanging off the other side. So it's cool. Mike Fields. I'm in Michigan also. Yeah, homegrown Michigan. I'm up here in Ludington. I don't know if you know where that's at, but it's straight across from the mitt on the west side, or from the thumb. Raven, PLA has a glassing temp of 55 to 60 degree repeat. PG has a glassing temp around 80 degrees Celsius. Glassing temps is where it starts to go soft. I appreciate that information. Now I know that for the future. And 80 degrees makes that huge difference, especially when it's on the sun. Raven, the cabinet stand has SCOTUS, and the riser has a good car style lid. Yes, that. Excuse me. Sorry guys, I'm still getting over a cold. Um, the riser uh has like a. I'm gonna print it for all three of our machines over in the Alpha Centauri area. It's like a you prop up your hood of your car. It's pretty cool. Pretty excited to do that. Just because I'm always afraid of dropping my glass cover. You can find that over on printables. So, but PETG, I was very worried about printing with it. Um, I print with it 90% of the stuff here in the studio. No, I'd say 85 to 90 stuff here in the studio. The things that we sell, we mostly print out of PLA. Other things we print out of PETG. And while you don't necessarily have to have ventilation for PETG, it has slightly, not in my opinion, not much more VOCs, uh, the toxicity, smells, whatever you want to call it, than PLA. PLA, open room, it's fine. PETG for me, open room, it's fine. I think, don't quote me on this one, TPU, I think is also okay. Once you get to ABS, cool. Do not print that into your house. And if you do, vent it. Put it in an enclosed unit, and on the backside, put a port with a powered vent out your house. It will gas you out. Uh, uh, any of the carbon fibers do the same thing. Carbon fiber, you don't want that in your lungs. It's just not a good idea. Yeah, I'm trying to get some. I'm still waiting for my Sunlu filament to show up from Sunlu. They're sending us 8 rolls of filament uh to sponsor that segment. So I'm excited about that. It's our first, I would say, sponsorship. They just want to help us deck that side of the studio out. So once those get here, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna deck out with our risers and our stand. Even though the Elegoo Centauri carbons, they have their issues, and the multicolor thing, I know. You're If you need a single color printer and you got a small budget, I would recommend that printer. The only things you need to watch out for are, one, when you get your unit, print a riser for it. So that, and even with the P1Ss, if you have a P1S, print a riser for it, so it alleviates the strain off of your PTFE tube and your connecting power unit to your printer head. And then specifically for the Centauri carbons, when you do your nozzle swapping, be careful with the little connector in there when you got to plug your connector in. Uh, Hold it with a tweezer when you plug your connector in to keep it from moving, because you can wiggle it off there. That's why one of my Centauri carbons are out of commission right now. I'm waiting for that part to get here from Elegoo. So just showing you guys what we're doing. So just to recap tonight's episode, we started with our A1 Mini. We are learning what brims are. We're learning how to use our filament profiles, whether it's PETG or PLA. We have to find our filament profile in Bambu Studio or Orca Slicer, whichever version you use. That's why it's best to use, as a beginner, those name brands, because they have established profiles um, already. Uh, what material or adhesive to use, when to use it for those two materials. Uh, some of the maintenance that we have to look at, and you can check out our A1 Mini maintenance video or any of our machines. The only one I haven't got to yet is the well, two. I haven't got to the Elegant Centauri Carbon. I filmed that one. I'm in the middle of editing that one. And the same thing for the A1. I filmed that. I have to edit it and get it out. But all our other units, aside from the Arco, because there's not really much maintenance information on that yet. Um, we do have a video on the hot end, but uh, we are filming those out. So we'll get those out to you guys in part of the Printer Spa series. You can check out, if you have an AMS unit, you can check out our video on that, on how to take care of either your AMS, your AMS 2 Pro, or your AMS HT. And we'll get one out on the AMS Lite. I have to do a little bit of weeds work to make sure that I'm doing the change out properly in here before I get the content out for that. But our SnapMaker video just dropped. Check that out if you want to learn a little bit about the tool heads, how they work, see how those work on there. Um, so, and if you haven't yet, hit that like button and smash that subscribe. And we'll see you again next week with some multicolor printing tutorials. Until next time, be glorious.